Speaker, narrator at 10X. Media, Terminator 2, Judgment Day action scenes, iconic moments, sci-fi movie. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the 1991 sequel to the original Terminator, is often hailed as a sci-fi classic. Media, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, high-octane action sequences, special effects, iconic one-liners. With its high-octane action sequences, cutting-edge special effects, and iconic one-liners, it's a movie that's been celebrated for decades. Media, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, ridiculous scenes, plot holes, sci-fi movie. But let's be honest here, it's also a film that's overflowing with ridiculousness, plot holes, and more cheese than a Wisconsin dairy. Media, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, hilarious moments, laughable scenes, legendary sci-fi movie. So, let's take a hilarious deep dive into why Terminator 2 Judgment Day is more laughable than legendary. Speaker, narrator at 10X. Media, tangled ball of yarn in a blender. The plot of Terminator 2 Judgment Day is like a tangled ball of yarn thrown into a blender. Media, cat chasing a laser pointer, spinning out of control with all the elegance of a cat chasing a laser pointer. Media, time-traveling robots from the future. The story kicks off with two time-traveling robots from the future. One is Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800, reprogrammed to protect young John Connor, Media T-1000 liquid metal assassin, and the other is the T-1000, a liquid metal assassin who's basically a homicidal jello mold. Media, head-scratcher concept. The premise itself is already a head-scratcher. Media, shape-shifting robot sent back in time. Skynet, the AI hell-bent on human extinction, sends a shape-shifting robot back in time to kill John Connor, the future leader of the human resistance. Media, reprogrammed, hulking T-800. Meanwhile, the humans somehow manage to reprogram a hulking T-800 and send it back to protect him. Media, obliterated logic in movie. If you're not already lost, don't worry. The movie spends the next 2 hours ensuring that any remaining logic is thoroughly obliterated. Media, improbable plot twists. The plot twists and turns through a series of increasingly improbable events. Media, T-800 saying hasta la vista baby. From the T-800 learning to say hasta la vista baby. Media, Sarah Connor's doomsday prepping. To Sarah Connor's doomsday prepping that makes your average survivalist look like a casual camper. Media, final showdown in molten steel factory. By the time the film reaches its climax, where they battle it out in a molten steel factory, because where else would you stage your final showdown? Media, nonsense cramming in one movie. You're less concerned about the fate of humanity and more impressed by how much nonsense they managed to cram into one movie. Speaker, narrator at 10X. Media, exaggerated parade, over-the-top characters, stereotypical performances in classic sci-fi movies. The characters in Terminator 2 are a delightful mix of stereotypes and over-the-top performances, stumbling through the plot with all the subtlety of a marching band in a library. Media, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Robotic performance, T-800 stiff portrayal, exaggerated acting in classic sci-fi movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 is the ultimate robotic protector, but his portrayal is so stiff and monotone that you'll be left wondering if he's actually a cyborg or just really into bad acting. Media, Linda Hamilton action hero mom, Sarah Connor, tough survivalist, exaggerated performance in Terminator 2. Linda Hamilton's Sarah Connor is the epitome of the action hero mom, complete with bulging biceps, a no-nonsense attitude, and enough weaponry to outfit a small army. Media, Linda Hamilton transformation, exaggerated survivalist training, intense action hero portrayal in sci-fi movies. Her transformation from a frightened waitress in the first film to a hardened survivalist in this one is impressive, but it's also so exaggerated that you'll be left wondering if she's training to save the world or just really into CrossFit. Media, Edward Furlong bratty teenager John Connor rebellious antics, exaggerated performance as future savior in sci-fi films. Edward Furlong's John Connor is supposed to be the future savior of humanity, but he spends most of the movie acting like a bratty teenager who's just been grounded. Media, Edward Furlong whining John Connor rebellious behavior, exaggerated portrayal of destined leader in classic sci-fi movies. His constant whining and rebellious antics make you question if he's actually destined to lead the resistance or just really in need of a timeout. Media, Robert Patrick, T-1000 expressionless villain, ultimate sci-fi villain, exaggerated menacing performance. Robert Patrick's T-1000 is the ultimate villain, with his cold, expressionless demeanor and ability to transform into anything or anyone. Media, Robert Patrick, T-1000 relentless pursuit, T-1000 ridiculous transformation, exaggerated villainous portrayal in classic sci-fi movies. His relentless pursuit of John Connor is supposed to be terrifying, but it often comes off as more ridiculous than scary, especially when he morphs into everything from a police officer to a floor tile with all the menace of a malfunctioning blender. Speaker, narrator at 1.0x. Media, iconic movie dialogue scenes, legendary movie quotes compilation. The dialogue in Terminator 2 is a masterclass in how to write a script that's both iconic and laughable, filled with lines that have become legendary for all the wrong reasons. Media, awkward tension-building moments, cheesy movie quotes compilation. The film's attempts at building tension and delivering memorable quotes are so ham-fisted that you'll be left wondering if the writers were aiming for a serious action film or just really bad at subtlety. Media, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Famous catchphrases, cringe-worthy movie lines compilation. Arnold Schwarzenegger's famous catchphrases like "I'll be back" and "Hasta la vista, baby" are supposed to be cool and menacing, but they often come off as more cringe-worthy than anything else. Media, robot with cheesy one-liners, deadpan delivery in sci-fi movies. The T-800's robotic monotone and deadpan delivery make you question if he's actually a fearsome cyborg or just really into cheesy one-liners. Media, dramatic apocalypse declarations, B-movie style dramatic scenes. Sarah Connor's dramatic declarations about the impending apocalypse are supposed to add to the tension, but they end up sounding like something out of a bad B-movie. Media, cliché dramatic speeches, grim warnings in movies. Her constant stream of grim warnings and desperate pleas for action might be compelling if they didn't feel so cliched, making you wonder if she's actually trying to save the world, or just really into dramatic speeches. Media, teenage angst in sci-fi films, future leader struggles in movies. John Connor's rebellious outbursts and teenage angst might be relatable if they didn't feel so forced, making you question if he's actually the future leader of humanity or just really bad at taking things seriously. Media, rebellious teenager in movies, defiant character eye rolls moments. His constant whining and defiant antics are more likely to induce eye rolls than empathy, leaving you wondering if the resistance might be better off without him. Speaker, narrator at 1.0x. Media, chaotic action sequences, explosive carnival, intense battle scenes. Action sequences, a carnival of chaos and explosions. Media, chaotic choreography, over-the-top stunts, violent action scenes. The action sequences in Terminator 2 are a dizzying blend of chaotic choreography and over-the-top stunts that make you feel like you're watching a particularly violent episode of a Saturday morning cartoon. Media, improbable stunts, ridiculous set pieces, everyday objects turned into weapons. The film's various battles and chases are filled with improbable stunts and ridiculous set pieces, turning everyday objects into weapons in a way that's more baffling than exciting. Media, infamous truck chase scene Terminator 2, T-800, and John Connor pursued by T-1000, thrilling semi-truck pursuit. The infamous truck chase scene, where the T-800 and John Connor are pursued by the T-1000 in a semi-truck, is supposed to be a thrilling spectacle. Media, poorly rendered video game cutscene, improbable stunts T-800, relentless pursuit T-1000. Instead, it feels more like a poorly rendered video game cutscene, with the T-800's improbable stunts and the T-1000's relentless pursuit defying the laws of physics and common sense. Media, final showdown, molten steel factory, flashing lights, CGI battle, trippy screensaver, epic battle. The final showdown in the molten steel factory is a mess of flashing lights and CGI that looks more like a particularly trippy screensaver than an epic battle between good and evil. Media, random explosions, fight scenes, improbable gadgetry battle, intense character fight scenes. The fight scenes are so filled with random explosions and improbable gadgetry that you'll be left questioning if the characters are actually fighting for their lives or just really into blowing things up for fun. Speaker, narrator at 1.0x. Media, special effects showcase in sci-fi movies. Special effects, a visual feast of flawed fantasies. Media, impressive CGI visuals in sci-fi movies, bad CGI effects in sci-fi movies. The special effects in Terminator 2 are a mix of impressive visuals and laughably bad CGI that looks like it was thrown together by a team of animators who got lost in the dark and had to finish their work on a deadline. Media, T-1000 shape-shifting effects in sci-fi movies, futuristic technology effects in sci-fi movies. The film's various depictions of the T-1000's shape-shifting abilities and futuristic technology are filled with flashy effects that are meant to wow the audience but often come off as a distraction from the film's flimsy plot and wooden acting. Media jarring CGI transformations in sci-fi movies, low-budget sci-fi CGI designs. The CGI is particularly jarring in the scenes involving the T-1000's transformations, which look more like rejected designs from a low-budget sci-fi movie than fearsome futuristic technology. Media, special effects reliance in storytelling in sci-fi movies, flashy visuals masking narrative shortcomings. The film's reliance on special effects to tell its story often feels like a crutch, with the flashy visuals doing little to mask the film's many narrative shortcomings. Speaker, narrator at 1, 0x. Media, Swiss cheese holes in a slice. Logic and plot holes, a Swiss cheese of a story. Media, confused person reading script. Terminator 2 is a baffling parade of logical inconsistencies and plot holes that make you wonder if anyone involved in the production actually read the script. Media, robot learning emotions. The idea that a time-traveling robot could learn human emotions and develop a fatherly bond with John Connor is absurd enough, but the film's internal logic is so inconsistent that you'll be left questioning if they're actually trying to tell a coherent story or just really bad at science fiction. Media, laughing at unrealistic plan. The logistics of Skynet's plan are equally laughable. Media, time-traveling robot logic. How does sending a single robot back in time to kill John Connor help prevent the apocalypse? Media, nuking the timeline concept. Why does Skynet keep sending increasingly powerful robots to do the same job, instead of say just nuking the entire timeline and being done with it? Media, robot navigating human society. And how is it that the T-800 manages to navigate the complexities of human society with all the skill of a seasoned spy despite having no prior experience? Media, perplexed person watching movie. The film's resolution is equally perplexing. Media, predictable movie ending. The final battle with the T-1000 wraps up in a way that's both predictable and unsatisfying, leaving you wondering if the whole movie was just an elaborate setup for a particularly flashy fireworks display. Media, random events in a movie. The film's lack of any clear message or theme makes it feel more like a collection of random events than a cohesive story, leading to a conclusion that's as baffling as it is abrupt. Speaker, narrator at 1, 0x. Media, sci-fi classic movie scenes. Conclusion, a sci-fi classic that's more cheese than chase. Media, over-the-top action movie scenes, unintentionally humorous film moments. In conclusion, Terminator 2, Judgment Day is a film that's more entertaining for its unintentional humor and over-the-top action than for any actual storytelling or character development. Media, time travel concept in sci-fi movies. Its plot is a time-traveling tangle of absurdity. Media, over-the-top character archetypes in sci-fi films. Its characters are a parade of over-the-top archetypes. Media, cheesy one-liners in sci-fi movies. And its dialogue is a script full of cheesy one-liners and cringe-worthy quotes. Media, impressive special effects in sci-fi movies, laughably bad CGI effects. The special effects are a flashy mix of impressive visuals and laughably bad CGI. Media, logical inconsistencies in sci-fi films, and the film's logical inconsistencies are so glaring that you'll be left questioning if anyone involved actually took the material seriously. Media, movie taking itself too seriously, wild ride through bizarre sci-fi adventure. So, if you're in the mood for a good laugh at a movie that takes itself way too seriously and delivers a wild ride through a bizarre sci-fi adventure, grab some popcorn, sit back, media, absurd sci-fi movie moments, and enjoy the absurdity that is Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Media, absurd sci-fi movie endings. Just don't expect to be terrified, thrilled, or even mildly entertained by. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Quirky Critic signing out.